boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. Thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in alive. Much love. Hope y'all having a good time this week, man. It's been a pretty busy week for myself, but hope you guys are having a good week. Shout out to the fam. Moving around, man. But listen, man, big ups to y'all guys. We'll talk black and gold with you tonight. Watch some of the game. What happened with OKC in Minnesota. OKC running. Let me ask y'all this, man, for my basketball heads out there. How the hell OKC went, what was it? 7 games? They went 7 games with the Nuggets, right? 7 games with the Nuggets. And then Minnesota had all that time. Wasn't it like 4 or 5 days or something like that? And then OKC still running the boys, man. Ran them up out of that. I tell you, man, when you do it right, you do it right. Let me tell you. OKC and the Pelicans started their rebuilds at the same time. And look where they went to. Matter of fact, Minnesota started their rebuild around the same time. And look where they're at. So it just goes to show you, man, when you do it right, you do it right. But big ups to you guys. Appreciate y'all being in the stream. Much love to all y'all. I see you in the stream. Young City 9, Elite, Backwoods, OG, Jerry, Black Major, Quavadius, In the Groove. Shout out to your fam. See you as well. Mad Drummers in this thing. Much love to Bronze. Everybody, man, good to see y'all in the building as always. Much love, much love, much love to you guys. What's up, T-Roy? Shout out to your brother Jonathan says, I said for the past 2 years, they should move Penning inside to OG. He will flourish. He's an excellent run blocker, but his pass blocking is subpar. Our O-line could be solid. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you, Jonathan. And you've been proven to be right, my friend. Listen. He's going to get an opportunity to win that job. But listen, that job is not a foregone conclusion for Trevor Penning. You know what I'm saying? Listen, he does have the skills to play the guard position. It's a last-ditch effort to save him. It was a bad kept secret. We knew that there would be some shuffling of the line. When Kellen came in here, he wanted bookends. Tolly's going back to the right side. It's just going to be interesting, man. Matter of fact, let me do y'all this. Let me put up the unofficial depth chart right here. And it shows you, even though it's unofficial, ESPN did a job of putting this up. And you can see the line, how it's situated. Kevin Banks at the blind side, Penning at guard, McCoy, Ruiz, and Fuaga at the right side. That's what Fuaga is, a guy who dominate at that right side. He played a hell of a job at the blind side position. He's switching to his natural college position. He will flourish. Kevin Banks Jr. coming in. Kelvin coming in here with his natural position at the blind side position, bookend tackles next 10 years. Let's go. That guard position is not a far-gone conclusion for Trevor Penning. Let me tell you something. He's going to get some solid competition from Dylan Runts and Nick Saldiveri for that job. But of course, the Saints are going to want Penning to step up and seal that position. But we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it all goes. That's one of the things we're going to talk about here as well. What's up, Ross? Shout out to Ross the boss. Dr. Key with the key in the building. Brother Trey, how you doing, sir? Much love. Saints getting all of the top picks from Pryor's draft. The 2 first-round picks, the bookends. Kelvin Banks, Jr., Tali Fuaga, first-round guys. Cesar Ruiz, first-round draft pick. Penning, first-round pick. And McCoy, who should have been a first-round pick, he was a second-rounder with the black and gold. He picked him up. But the reality is the Saints have all drafted offensive linemen that they personally drafted, and it could be the makings of something. Dylan Runts, like I said, what does Dylan Runts bring to the table? He has a lot of starter experience at that guard position. So when you're learning a new position and they got another guy that knows the position, it's going to be tough. So it's going to be interesting. We just have to watch that side of it and see what it is. What's up, Matt? Matt says, from what I've been hearing, line going to look good. Yes, indeed. We're going to see how it looks, man. I'm more concerned about the depth of the Saints offensive line as opposed to what they got. I do like some of the pieces. I'm more concerned about the depth. If Penning is trying him at guard, this is going to be interesting because we got a bunch of unproven guys, and the outside of Dylan Runnings as a backup offensive lineman. So we'll just have to see how it goes. There's still a lot of time between now and the draft, and we'll see how it all goes. What's up, Cartel? Shout out to you, fam. Jonathan says, I love how they spent the first pick on building this. Oh, yes, indeed. O-line, D-line is where it starts. Win the trenches. Yes, indeed. You're absolutely right, Brother Jonathan. Absolutely. We talked about that on the Coma leading up to the draft, the Black and Gold Faithful. We're here in the Great Saint Think Tank, and we were talking about what's the philosophy going forward. I said, and I told Kellen Moore, whatever you do, you better build these offensive lines up. Because if you coming into the game with a rookie quarterback and Tyler Shuck and an inexperienced room, we know Spencer is going to be a good one. But at the same time, you got to also realize and understand that, you heard what Mickey Loomis said. We did the reaction to that on Patreon and all this stuff about no concerns. He ain't concerned about nothing. It just 1 foot in the world of living and the one in the afterlife. That's how he act. But the reality is we just have to watch it, see how it goes. There's still time between now and when big camps start firing up to be able to bring more veterans in. But I really do think with $20+ million the Saints have, they're going to definitely bring some more people to the team. I don't see them exclusively bringing this unit into the season saying, yeah, we're good. We're going to do some stuff. No, they're going to add some more pieces. You best believe that. This is not a final situation. You're going to see some more people added to this going into the camp. All right. So big ups. All right. We're going to get right into it. Jonathan, he says it's way too early to tell, but who do you think starts week 1 at the QB position? You're right. It is early to tell. If Kellen Moore say the same, it probably would be Tyler Shuck. It probably would be, Tyler, to be honest, because the time frame, the man gonna be 26 in the fall. So, but it's gonna be interesting because Spencer Rattler is going to give him a hell of a battle for that spot. I think Spencer's a very underrated commodity here, but Tyler has the size, he has the arm. He's the current administration's hand-picked favorite to guide the team into the future, as opposed to the 2 previous guys. So it'll be his job to lose. So if close, it's going to be Tyler, no doubt about it. That's pretty much what I see going. It's going to be a two-man battle between those guys for the position. I don't see the Saints bringing a veteran here. Obviously, the Saints are going to go with the youth movement at the top of the team, which is something I think the great vast majority of the Who Dat Nation believes in and think that we should do. That we should definitely go within that direction of just doing this and moving forward with a young quarterback to guide the offense. We got some talent with just a few more pieces here or there, and we'll be, something might be able to pop. I've seen a lot of people saying the Saints gonna win 6, 7 games, stuff like that. That's your opinion. We're just gonna have to see. What's up, Charlie? Shout out to you. Demetrius said the rookie will start. Absolutely. If it's close, it's gonna be Tyler Shuck. It just being honest, if Spencer Rattler wants to win that job, he's going to have to blow the whole competition up out of the water. It can't be nothing close, because if it's close, they're going to tilt the room toward Tyler because of the age and the fact that they picked the man. You see what I'm saying? And regardless of not, we got some people. We're going to talk about it more, bro. We're going to get into it, but thank you for the question. All right, so let's just jump straight into some of the stuff. I'm going to listen a little bit of what Kellen Moore was talking about, but obvious, the news of the day was them talking about the offensive line shift. As we just talked about, Kelvin Banks, blind side, left side, Penning at the guard, center McCoy, Ruiz, and then Fuaga on the opposite end. Well, I'm very excited about the bookends. The Penning, tried left, he tried right. The guard position is usually a better position for a guy like Penning, who's a natural born run blocker, who does have athletic ability, ain't big and slow and plotting. It's just inexperience is a lot of this. So it could translate to success, but he's going to get pushed. It's not like, you can be able to sit there. You're going to see guys like Dylan Runnels run at it. Dylan Runnels, once he ain't coming, he on a 1-year prove-it deal, so he's going to go all out to try to seize that job from Penning. So I will watch out for Dylan Runnels and Penning. And Nick DeVary is a guy that's, still got a couple years left. We don't know what Nick DeVary is except for injured. The guy can't stay healthy, and that's all we got on him, right? But anyway, let's kind of delve into it. And this is one article I have here up on screen. Y'all do me a service. As y'all come and hit the like button, much love to y'all. Appreciate y'all being in the live with me on this Thursday night, baby. Much love to y'all. Much love. All right, so that's the one thing. And shout out to NOLA.com. They had a little breakdown here. I was watching some footage of some of the stuff, but this is some of the breakdowns that they had to say about it with Rattler, how he did in OTAs. He did pretty well on Thursday. Talking about him, the fact that he was 8 for 8 during one of the reps and 7 for 7 with Tyler Shuck, and Tyler went 7 for 8. So, like I said, Spencer Rattler was training during the offseason when in the draft, they was talking about who they was going to draft. He was already working out. And like I said, he kind of went when he battled with Jake Haener last year. Haener had the experience on him by a year. You thought that might help him stay ahead. But Spencer not only closed the gap, he shot past Jake Haener. And really, if it wasn't for poor decision making in terms of who the quarterback was going to be and the things that the Possum was playing, and then later on what Rizzy did, Spencer Rattler, that game where Rattler should have started, but Haener started, that would have been his first win right there. Because he just needed a little bit more time. The way he electrified him that half of the game, they would have won that game. That would have been his first one. But it's okay. He took it in stride this year. He got it. Listen, this works for Spencer battling with Tyler. I think this is a good young matchup for quarterbacks. I'll be interested in that. So they're talking about how crisp Rattler was in the session, but they also talked about how Tyler was also doing a pretty decent job. Big quarterback moving around. So it's still early on, but this would be a battle to watch. And of course, we talked about the moving of the Reese situation of the offensive line with the Saints moving those guys around. Like I said, I love the tandem that Fuaga and Kelvin Banks represent. And remember, the philosophy of the Saints coming to the thing, we just talked about the building of the lines. We talked about, hey, man, you coming in here, you better build these lines. Man did it. I mean, the number one thing that help a young, inexperienced quarterback, whether it's going to be Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler, it has to be the running attack. The Saints had brought in some really good pieces in terms of the offensive line coaches, of run game coordinator, all this kind of stuff. These guys will have to run the football. They're going to have to run the football to help out the young quarterback. They, Mickey Loomis and the Saints paid Juwan Johnson, gave him a hefty salary to come in here and be the guy. Juwan Johnson going to have to step up. And I've been saying it's Juwan Johnson. It's time for Juwan Johnson to step the hell up and become one of the top 10 best tight ends in the game. He is got to become a safety blanket for his young quarterback, whether that's Spencer or Tyler, whoever it is. He's going to have to step up and show up in many different ways. So we're going to see how that works. And then, of course, the running attack, the tight end, all that has to work in unison for the Saints, because you want to take all that pressure off these young quarterbacks and give them an opportunity to jump into the play action, handle the business, that type of stuff. Then on the defensive side, the 34 alignment shifting from the 34 from the 43 to the 34, that's going to be interesting too. And even though I'm looking, I think just saying this early on, looking at some of the stuff, I'm thinking the defense might be ahead of the offense. We'll see, but it's going to be some nice battling going on between Kellen Moore's offense against Staley's defense. That's going to be something to watch too, because I think the defense got a lot of good assets to help it out. We're talking about Reed. We're talking about some of the draft picks, the reshuffling of guys, Granderson and Chase Young moving to the linebacker level. We see them getting Brother Devon from New England, bringing him in to possibly play the nose tackle position. Drafting Vernon Brockton, moving Brian Bresee to that line, and then having all that other stuff going on. So it's going to be very awesome to see. We heard about the Asante Samuel Jr., them talking to him. We'll see if that's the thing as well. But obviously, the Saints aren't done making moves, trying to improve the secondary, trying maybe adding a wide receiver, possibly Kellen. Kellen looking at getting Allen and bringing him here? There's a relationship there. And, we'll see how I go. But I heard the interview with Brandon Cooks talking about, the big wide, because they hear the talk about, hey, man, why don't you have a big wide receiver over there? And they talk about him as a little guy. You kind of get a little snappy. Y'all probably heard the interview, him saying about big wide receivers and all this kind of stuff. You talk about catch radius and whatever the hell he was talking about. But in the end, hey, man, listen, we need a big wide receiver over there. You know that. Might be still raw in the ass, because remember, he got out of here the first time around by a bigger wide receiver named Michael Thomas. See, I remember. But see, the thing is, this is very interesting, no matter how you look at it, because the Saints definitely, they did sign Donovan Peoples, who's 6'2", and it is rumored that, the Saints aren't done. So we'll see what they do. I would probably say more so the bigger wide receiver than anything. They did try out the big wide receiver. They brought in an undrafted guy that was 6'5". They just chose to go in a different direction. But anyway, in terms of the offensive line, my thought process on the offensive line, the shifting of Penning from tackle to guard, last ditch effort, last year on his contract. Saints trying to find a spot for him here. More than likely could be the easiest transition that he's had since he's been here. From left side to right side, he's in there, he's in the middle of that might be an easy transition. The only thing is, like I said, it's going to be competition. It's not a foregone conclusion. Dylan Reynolds, he wants that job. 1-year contract, dude gonna mash on it to try to get that job. Bottom line. But that's some of the stuff they talked about. And of course, defensive versatility. Glimpse at the defense and Brendan Staley's scheme. They check out the way the Saints, they talk about Vernon Brockton. The Saints used the third round as the defensive end next to Cam Jordan. Then in the nickel, when only 4 defensive linemen were on the field instead of 5, Brockton kicked inside the D tackle. The Saints staff already had familiarity with Brockton upon drafting him, as defensive line coach Bo Davis was his position coach at Texas for 3 years. So he knows what he can play. Cornerback, and before we get to the secondary, that's a big thing. because the ideal thought process with a lot of people, including myself, is 34 scheme. Even though Cam could play that, Cam ain't the same dude. Like 6 sacks in 2 years, and Cam has really not been, it hadn't been health. It's just the fact that Father Time is catching Cam, right? So you would want to see Brian Bresee over there at that other spot opposite of Vernon Brockton. Their games are very similar. These are big guys that are 300 pounders who can play D tackle, but they're so athletic and disruptive and violent that you want to put those guys there. You're going to need those type of guys for that 34 defense. You need those guys because those guys have to be able, all three, and then those tackle, all those guys are going to have to be able to cause hell against them 5 offensive linemen. Those 3 defensive linemen must cause hell against those 5 offensive linemen. That allows the linebackers to roam around to either run blitz or drop into coverage, cover passing lanes, whatever you need them to do. That's when the 34 defense operates at a peak level when you're able to do that. When we talk about the Dome Patrol with the great 4 linebackers, Sam Mills, Pat Swill, and Vaughn Johnson, and the great Ricky Jackson, but they wouldn't be none of that or as good as they are if you didn't have the big guys up front like Frank Warren, Jim Wilkes, Wayne Martin, them type of cats. When they had those big guys up front, those guys were handling the business so that those great 4 linebackers can handle their business. That's how it works. So you're going to need guys like Brockton and Brian Bresee up front handling the business on the 34 defense. Like Cam, but maybe Cam in a reserve capacity because of Father Time. I still think Cam helps, but at this level, man, like I said, this was his last year. Father Time, he ain't as fast as he used to be. 6 sacks in 2 years. You do the math. And of course, they talked about a cornerback, Alontae Taylor, was also asked to do several different things, moving back outside. Last season, following Lattimore's trade, Taylor took his first reps 7-on-7 on the inside. They just stuff they testing. He was also used as a blitzer, getting clean at Rattler before pulling up since there's no contact allowed. Then his effective use of the cornerback skill set, and Taylor has his 4th most sacks, 4 with the Saints last season. Not a surprise. Alontae Taylor has a lot of value. Remember, when he was drafted because at first they were thinking about maybe shifting him to safety. That was the thing about Alontae Taylor when they drafted him, because at the time they had Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, C.D. Deuce, or whatever you want to call himself. He was here at the time. But boy, he got raw in his ass when they drafted Alontae Taylor. He stopped showing up at practice. If he would have handled it and just went and did it, because at the same time, McCoy's contract and his contract was running at the same time. If he'd have just done his job and not made a scene, the Saints would have given him, they would have made a way and kept him here. And then you might have seen Alontae Taylor shift somewhere else. But he was insurance in case C.D. Deuce didn't work out, and it didn't. They traded him for next to nothing. Alontae Taylor then moved to that position. And he's been solid, and there's been a lot of movement going on with Alontae Taylor. But at the end of the day, the Saints are seeing what he can do. So in the base, Taylor was also used outside. So they taking a look inside, outside to see what's best. Then, of course, they talk about the tight end shallow position in terms of the tight end. A lot of injuries are hitting the Saints at the tight end position behind Juwan Johnson. They're talking about Taysom Hill is laid up. Taysom Hill is no secret. Macon Loomis talked about this. Kellen Moore mentioned this. He talked about Taysom not being there. He talked about Foster not being there. Guys still dealing with injuries, knee issues. Talk about Foster recovering knee issues, all this kind of stuff. You won't see those guys till at least camp. Taysom probably way later into the year with his knee situation, and also Dalen Hawker, who was another undrafted guy that we really liked a lot. Dalen Hawker was a guy that is dealing with some minor issues as well. So that gives the Saints other tight ends an opportunity to jump in there and see if they can get some light. You know, guys like Jack Stahl, guys like the tight end that we picked up from UCLA, who, if you watch the tape on him, is a pretty good developmental tight end. And by next year, you can see him possibly, if everything bowls the same, that guy moving into a position where he's right behind Juwan Johnson in the tight end room. So it's going to be interesting to see how it go, because we know Stahl is mostly a guy that they talked about being just mostly a blocking tight end, a guy that do different things in your offense. But that's interesting. And it also, and we talk about Matavo, obviously. Jack Stahl, Michael Jacobson, and Trayton Welch are the guys that remain. Now, of course, some of the names that stick out. Matavo is the guy that could make some headway room. We didn't talk about this year because we had a deep tight end room. But, man, listen. The guy's 6'6". He can catch the ball. He's not a super fast guy, but you say he got some moves. But that was a pretty slick pick for the Saints to get Matavo, where they got him later on in the draft. The guy could really be something and was a good force for UCLA when he was out there. So good red zone weapon, big target. Some people take a knock on his blocking game a little bit, but I've seen some tape. He can work on it still. Really a pretty good developmental tight end. Could be a little further along than we thought. And, of course, the voluntary absences. They talked about Hill, Tyrann Mathieu, Elvin Kamara, JT Gray, Demarco Jackson. Demarco Jackson don't need to be in anything that the Saints are throwing. It could be a clam bait. It could be a Easter egg hunt. Whatever the Saints are throwing, DeMarco Jackson should be in the building. Let me tell you something. Because the Saints really did did themselves a favor, but did him a favor. They put Anthony Orgy in the street when it should have been DeMarco Jackson. Anthony Orgy outplayed DeMarco Jackson, even on special teams. And the Saints made the move to go with Jackson over Anthony Orgy. To me, that was a mistake. I think Anthony Orgy was a solid linebacker. When he played, he did a wonderful job in there. And at the end of the day, man, they really did. He must have been praying extra hard that night and for them to pay. But DeMarco Jackson should be everything. Demario Davis, we talk about Devon Godchaux, Chase Young among veterans that were absent. And, of course, we know that this is involuntary, mandatory. They can opt out and do something else. We know Elvin Kamara has been always in shape. He does his own stuff off season. Some of these guys do their stuff. And when it's mandatory, then these guys show up. But if you're DeMarco Jackson, you need to be in the building. You need to have your face in the place anytime. Even if they changing the locks in the building, DeMarco Jackson should be there. Let me tell you something. All right, so big ups to y'all, man. Let's move on to the rest of the stuff we want to talk about, which is the Jake Haener thing. Now, we heard about the Jake Haener thing, having the injury that he had, the oblique injury. And shout out to Saints Wire. He did a little article on his. Bob, shout out to Bob. Bob is with Saints Wire. Okay, there you go. One of my favorite Saints websites, one of my favorite writers. Bob is with Saints Wire. Didn't know that. This is new one. Shout out to Bob. All right, so as reported, the Saints, we talk about Jake Haener, 26, third year, 4th round draft choice out of Fresno. Last year didn't look good, and there kind of a lot of luster fell off of Haener, to be honest with you. And right now, Haener's all he known as taking them weird ass pictures. That's what Spencer Rattler's basically well known for right now. Not much on the Saints football side of stuff, but he's dealing with an oblique issue that should have him sidelined for a little bit. And as Bob documents, Haener's injury will likely keep him out of action until training camp, with him sideline could open the door for the second rookie quarterback, who the Saints brought in as an undrafted addition, and his name is Hunter Dekkers, right? Now, after being out of college football in 23 because of legal issues, Dekkers played at Iowa Western Community College last year. At Iowa Western, Dekker completed 64% of his throws for over 3,800 yards, 32 touchdowns against 10 interceptions. Not bad at all. Prior to that, Dekkers was the starting quarterback for Iowa State. He was out of football in 23 because he was among several people implicated in the NCAA gambling scandal. Dekkers was among dozen at Iowa State facing criminal charges for his role in these accusations. And in an interview, Dekker admitted to betting on Iowa State football games when he was a freshman backup. Bad decision. A lot of people thought that Dekkers, I watched tape on Dekkers, he got some skill to him, that he would have been drafted. So it's a shame that happened, but he got a second chance to rectify the wrong. He with the Saints, so this could be interesting. He was also uncovered as making several bets on DraftKings account that belonged to his mother. As a backup, he was a backup to Brock Purdy, who just got broke off with the Niners. Back in 20 and 21, Deckers completed 25 of 43 for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns against 1 pick. Once Purdy went to the NFL, Deckers became Iowa State starter, and 23 he responded with 66.1 completion percentage, over 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 2 additional scores as a runner, and he led the Big 12 in complete percentage, attempts, completions, while finishing third in passing yards. Unfortunately, his 14 interceptions were also the most in the conference. He's a left-handed passer, good size, good mobility, has arm strength to make any throw, shown solid ability to read coverages. If not for the legal issues, Deckers would have been drafted and could have potentially been a day 2 selection. Now he gets a second chance at his pro career with the Saints team, looking for a starting quarterback underneath head coach Kellen Moore. So if Bob talks about guys that were picked that late. Tom Brady, 6th round pick. Brock Purdy, 7th round pick. Mr. Irrelevant. Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, 4th round picks. Tony Romo, undrafted. Examples of overlooked quarterbacks that went on to achieve NFL's success. While nobody's yet comparing Hunter Deckers to any of them, he has the intriguing tools to be a possible surprise and may now have an extra opportunity with Jake Haener's injury. No doubt about it. How many of the family members out there believe that Jake Haener? I mean, does Jake Haener? If it's a battle straight up, right, and Deckers with him, and I see somebody post something online about this. Who do you think win the third job between Deckers and Jake Haener? Right? Who wins the job? Is that a question that we even need to ask? But shout out to Bob. Good article, man. But this is the thing we talk about with the issues, and of course he'll be ready for camp, this sort of thing. And I'm gonna go back to my undrafted, unofficial depth chart right here. But it will be interesting to see how this all plays out. Remember, there is no loyalty to some of these guys here because it's a new regime. The last 3 years, we've seen the Saints take quarterbacks each round, right? Each year. New administration, new quarterback. That was the policy. Pete Carmichael, Jake Haener, Clint Kubiak, Spencer Rattler. You see Nussmeier, Tyler Shuck. So in the end, every year, another quarterback. But as we get more quarterbacks, that first guy I talked about kind of slides to the back of that list. So Jake Haener has some competition because Hunter Deckers is a guy who has good size. And like I said, he's a guy that should have been drafted, made a bad decision. He's hungry. He's smart. This dude could be a problem for Jake Haener. We're going to see, man. But like I said, man, the competition is good, man. Competition is great. You know what I'm saying? Competition, despite what Rockefeller talking about. He's talking about competition in sync because he can't compete no open market unless he rigged the rules of the game. But if you have other people competing, then, the consumer wins because you get the best price for whatever they're selling. If that other guy too high, you go across the street to that other guy and buy. You see what I'm saying? But the competition is good for us as we look on as onlookers and supporters of the squad because we'll see these players really go after it for the job, like seeing the backup job. So the room in terms of do they get a veteran or all this kind of old stuff, even if they pick up an older veteran for the room, more than likely they're still going to rely on the top 2 guys on top of the team, barring injuries. So if Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler are the guys that's going to compete. No disrespect to Jake Haener. I just think Spencer Rattler is ahead of him. And how he developed, he's ahead of him. Tyler Shuck, we'll have to see. But Spencer Rattler is going to be a serious candidate to run this. And it's an open competition. If it's an open competition like they're saying it is, we should see Spencer Rattler. We should see Spencer Rattler really push to take that starting job. It's going to be cool to see that, man. I'm looking forward to see the Saints QB competition. All right, let's hit this article. I've seen this. Somebody sent me this, fam. This is from CBS. But before I say, I'm going to go over this article, but let me play this for you. This is what Logan Ryan. Remember Logan Ryan, the guy the former defensive back for what was it, the Titans? He was with the Titans or whoever. This is what he said about the Saints. Y'all tell me if y'all agree with him. Here we go. Let me see if I can get this to play.
Fault. This was coming for a long time. The Saints roster's been aging. They've been kicking the can in terms of repaying guys and restructuring guys, and now you got to pay the bill. Not able to get too active in free agency. The worst news of the Saints offseason, I don't care, is Derek Carr's injury. I mean, when your star quarterback, the guy that you've invested all this money to want to be the face of the franchise, comes in, not playing extremely well, but playing good enough, capable starting football to then have an injury where he might not be ready to play right away or might not play much this season, that is jarring. This is going to be all on Tyler Shuck. This was the choice that they made in this draft. This guy's going to be compared to Shedeur Sanders and some of these other quarterbacks for quite some time. That was a shocking pick. Kelvin Banks got the offensive line ready, got a great offensive lineman there. That's the safest thing to do. Try to run the ball, try to make it easier. But you got Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck competing at starting quarterback right now in this division and try to take off the Bucs from the top there. You look at their acquisitions in free agency, Isaac Yiadom, Justin Reed, they bring back Chase Young, they bring back Brandon Cooks. This looks like free agency from 3 years ago. Weren't these guys Saints before? So I don't know what they're doing there, but they didn't have a lot of options to work with. They didn't have a lot of money in free agency. And obviously this was, I think, a shocking pick for a lot of people in the draft there to choose this quarterback third in this draft class. But we will see. Kellen Moore knows how to evaluate quarterbacks, or he was a quarterback. So this is the guy they put their money on. But they did not go out there and splash it up. This is not a splash offseason for them. They are trying to put bandages on bullet holes right now over there in New Orleans and try to do the best they can because this has been coming for a long time.
That boy said put bandages on. Who that boy
the
think
NBA
we are?
playoffs are here.
Hold on. Who that boy think we are? That boy said put bandages on bullet holes. And that they, first of all, Logan Ryan, the Saints have over $20 million, man. I don't know what you're talking about. They had the Saints, Mickey Loomis restructured every damn body. He restructured the quarterback, he was the linebackers, running backs, the janitor, the parking lot attendant, the guy that sits at the front of the gate when you pull in that small ass gate. He did the roofers. That boy extended anybody with a contract and freed $20-something million. Bullet holes. That boy said put bandages on bullet holes. Good grief. Now that's an interesting analogy. But the thing, the Derek Carr thing. Listen, man. The Derek Carr, I said my piece on Derek Carr on Patreon the other day, man. Shout out to the Patreon family, the YouTube membership family. I talked about that. They had an article that somebody wrote, and they've been talking about it, 2 or 3 days ago, when Carr had said that he's retiring. I was done with it because it was the best decision to make. Now, they were saying that the only reason why the man retired because he couldn't get, he didn't go to the trade destination that he preferred to go to. So he preferred to, then after that, just, this kind of stuff. Is that coming as a surprise to me? No. Dennis Allen no longer here. New Orleans is not an easy place to play for. Now, they can consider and call us a small market team all they want, but I keep telling people this. When you play for the New Orleans Saints, it's not an easy team to play. An easy support base to appease because, number one, we push this team to do better than what they ever done before the last 20-some odd years. Minus we had some hit and miss seasons outside of that, but the last 4 years is well below the floor that we set for success in the city of New Orleans or within the region or the Who Dat Nation. Why? Because the Saints we've afforded the Saints organization every possible damn issue, whatever you want to call it. We've given these people everything. Every resource is what I was searching for. Every damn resource that we afforded them, from money to buildings to fixing up a stadium that they don't own so they can make more money. We done gave these people everything. You know what I'm saying? We done supported them when they was out there making bad decisions, when they were being disrespectful. We done supported them. And enough is enough. We're not going to keep supporting you and you keep not doing the right things. It don't work like that. We're not going to do that because, people not going to throw their money away on bad. They're not going to waste their days sitting up there watching you stink because you're doing dumb shit. Come on, man. And obvious dumb stuff. Making emotional decisions. Mickey Loomis might as well have a pack. Yeah, I ain't gonna even say that. I'm about to say something, Bob. About to say, yeah, about to let him have it. But listen, the bottom line is this: the whole Derek Carr thing was a complete disaster. Derek Carr situation was disaster. When Dennis Allen got fired, not because of Mickey Loomis, because of the supporters, forced Gail Benson's hand because she seen them tickets going down. And no player is bigger than them making money. They'll put you in the street if it's messing with their money. They're supposed to. Now, when Dennis Allen left, Derek Carr didn't have the security blanket that he had when Dennis Allen was here. He was violating all kind of competition rules to keep the heat off of Derek Carr, which was bullcrap because if you have to do that to protect that quarterback, that guy weak as hell. But at the end of the day, the man retired because he didn't want to play, because if he did come back after he had his surgery, he would have to compete down here. And we're not you can't come down here and play for us and do a lot of jibber jabbing and talking and have minimal success on the field. $150 million for 2 injury-plagued seasons in which we had a 14-13 record. That's not a good spending of $150 million or whatever it is after the money comes back. But Mickey Loomis should have got a foot in his backside for that Dennis Allen thing. He should have got a foot in the other backside of his quarterback thing. The guy retired, took him off the hook for the money. Now we get an opportunity to go in the direction of a young team, young quarterback, well, kind of the team, depending on how you look at it. But the offense, leadership at the top of the team in terms of quarterback position, young people. That will allow the support base to be more, I dare I say, more patient, because you're looking at these young quarterbacks and you're saying, hey, man, these young quarterbacks, these guys right here, we're going to have to afford these young guys an opportunity to learn. Because that's when you have young players, you gotta afford them the opportunity to learn and make mistakes. That's number one. You got to do that. If you're a young team, you know that. You're not going to win as many games as you think you're going to win because the youth and the inexperience works against you at times, depending on how you use your quarterbacks, right? Now, if you're not leaning on these guys and you're leaning on running the ball, put them into play action and giving them opportunities to be successful and not putting them in a situation where they're not comfortable or they can't do, then you might win a little bit more than what you expected to win because you're being smart with how you use them, because you know how to use them. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of having an older quarterback at the top of the team, that dynamic changes if a veteran is sitting on top of the Saints right now. If that's Derek Carr and he's healthy or whatever, that changes everything because you're going to be expected to win right now because of the quarterbacks as a veteran, the money that he's getting paid. It changes that dynamic greatly. Now with the young guys there'll be a lot more patience afforded to them. You're going to give them more grace is what I'm saying. You're going to give them some grace on that. So in the end, the reality is, and then of course, Mickey Loomis got up there and talked about he's I said what I said on that. You didn't say anything. When the last time, didn't I tell y'all that? I told y'all that, man. I know these people. When the last time you seen them, it was at the draft, around the draft time, and they was asking, well, hold on, guys, I'm only taking questions on what's happening with the draft right. Derek Carr, we're waiting for some clarity, right? Wait for clarity. And then the other day, when he gets up there, they start asking about Derek Carr. We said all we're going to say about Derek Carr. What you mean? You ain't say nothing. You see what I'm saying? It's just, and that's the thing that I really despise. That's the thing that has to change. It won't change until the Reaper come and say, hey, Mickey, tap him on the shoulder and say, hey, man, time to roll. Because that's the only way you're getting rid of him. Gail don't know shit from Shinola. She's not going to demote him for anything. And she knows she's supposed to. Maybe she don't. But that will not happen because she don't know shit from Shinola on how to deal with that. You don't rely on this guy all the time like this. Let him keep his VP job, but give a GM job to somebody young. He get up there, don't know no answers, don't have no answers. Maybe I'm tired of that guy, man. He get up there, I know, guys. And then the reporter really got him. Y'all heard with the reporter? Shout out to that reporter. He asked him about making a smarter decision with the veteran quarterback. You seen him make it almost have to his head. Hold on, guy. You taking shade? Hold on, that's shade. Hold on, that's shade. That's what young people call shade. Hold on, I always make smart decisions. You know, they don't always work out, but that's smart. Well, they ain't smart then. Ah, you heard? Did y'all catch that? Put one in the chat. That old bastard. You get up there and he will say, "Oh, hold on, hold on, hold on." And the report actually gonna make a smarter decision. Hold on. I don't know what that means, but I always make smart decisions. They don't always work out, but I always make. Oh, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't make smart decisions. The Dennis Allen situation was a bad decision. And the guy never apologizes for none of this garbage, even though it's the worst thing in the world. The guy never says, "Hey man, listen, I made a bad bet on that. That's on me." We're going, I'm gonna learn from it. Never. The Dennis Allen and the Derek Carr thing both blew up in his face. And he's still not, he can we just get this guy out of here? Can we get it? Where's Reverend Saint with his shank when you need him? My goodness. Oh, online guy. I don't know what you're online. I don't know what that means, guy. I some shade there. That's what the young people say, shade. Online, I got you there. I ain't always make that decision. They might not always work out. I mean, shut up. Tired of making along with all this foolishness, man. But anyway, yeah, smart. That's right, Jack. Jack says smart and Mickey don't go. Online, goddammit, Jack. Online. You can't say that about me. Online, goddammit. But it's just crazy. But at the end of the day, it was the Carr thing was bad. Let Carr go ahead on about his business. We already know that. We already know Derek Carr he did not want to play for the Saints this year. If you're seeking a trade to another team, then how are you still hurt? And then all of a sudden, the shoulder became an issue after the trade couldn't go through. We knew this already. That's why a lot of people were saying that he took his last rep, and the last lasting image you've seen of Derek Carr when he was face first into the turf monster. That is pretty much, fam, that is the literal picture. If you want one image to describe the Derek Carr tenure with the New Orleans Saints, it's the image of Derek Carr diving over the guy, y'all remember? And then he hit the ground face first, and his body was still up, and his legs was coming. Y'all remember that? Man, that is the image right there. The last image. That is the last standing image of you take one. If I'd say y'all to give me one image or one picture that's clean, that describes Derek Carr's tenure with the Saints, it would be the image of Carr face first in the turf with his body up and stuff. That's would be the image to me that would perfectly describe what happened with the Saints and him over the last 2 years. It was a complete disaster. It was a complete disaster. And by far, my call for the number one worst Saints free agent signing. There is no other signing that you could say was worse than that. And you said, well, how could you say that? What about Brandon Brown? What about Jarius Byrd? Well, it's easy. None of them guys made $150 million and made 30 something. What was it? $30 million a year or more? More than $30 million a year. That the money alone says worst signing ever. So pivoting from that to Kellen Moore taking over the team, having Tyler Shuck, having Spencer Rattler there competing for the job, that's a lot better in my estimation. All right. And also to kind of go over this is an article somebody sent me about breaking down. This is from Will Backus from CBS. He did this thing and somebody sent me this, shout out to you. The complete breakdown of the Saints QB failures since Drew Brees retired in 2021. Here's what went so wrong. Listen to this and some of the stuff he talks about. I don't know if the guy, but he's kind of cataloged it pretty well. Some of these names I had forgot, but let's touch on it. Saints wandering in the quarterback wilderness. Truth be told, been since March 14 of 2021 when franchise living in pro football Hall of Famer Drew Brees retired from playing football. Brees' future Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's going to be a Hall of Fame first ballot, no doubt about it. Brees was instrumental in transforming the Saints from near perennial bottom feeder into an NFC powerhouse. He guided the New Orleans to 9 of its 14 total NFL playoff appearances, 9 NFC South titles. Boy, it seemed like so long ago, including 4 straight from 2017 to 2020 and its first Super Bowl in 09. New Orleans has been completely shut out of the postseason since Drew departed. Due to underperformance and injuries, the Saints have endured revolving door of quarterbacks that accumulated in a 5-12 record last year, New Orleans' worst regular season showing since 05, the year before Brees arrived. Further compounding the situation, is the fact that Carr, New Orleans' biggest quarterback, signed in almost 20 years, recently retired less than 3 seasons into his 4-year contract due to lingering shoulder issues. That leaves new coach Kellen Moore, who's never worked with Carr and any person prior to Carr's retirement, with way more mystery than clarity at the most important position in football. So that begs the question, after fielding one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, how did the Saints end up in this position? Now look what he says. No clear succession plan. It's not easy to draft the franchise quarterback. It's definitely more difficult when you spoil about 15 years of Hall of Fame level quarterback play. That can make a quarterback complacent. So, not easy to draft the franchise quarterback. You have several of them. The Saints that was behind Mickey Loomis don't have no vision. So that's really Sean Payton was the guy running the team. Mickey was the gopher. Whatever Sean wanted, Mickey ran to the grocery store willingly and went and bought it. The thing when you talk about the complacent, Saints had several opportunities to pick up a franchise guy when Drew Brees was toward the back end of his playing career. When Drew Brees got past 36 and 37, the Saints had an opportunity to draft quarterbacks. They had an opportunity to get Lamar Jackson. That's one of the biggest stinkers that we've seen in memory of the Saints in terms of draft. They had Lamar Jackson. They took Marcus Stinking Davenport. And the thing was, up until that time, like the Saints didn't take quarterback, Sean Payton could have took him. The bumbling, stumbling of Patrick Mahomes, and Sean Payton talked about that he loved the kid, all this kind of stuff, but didn't move up high enough to go and get him before the Chiefs got a hold to him. That's another stinker. The Saints had plenty of opportunities to pick up guys. They didn't want to do it. They wanted to ride Brees' coattail until he couldn't throw the ball, which is exactly what happened the last year when the Saints, Mickey Loomis in particular, was sitting on his stinking ass waiting for Drew Brees to tell them what he was going to do, right? We knew, and actually, that was the last time. Prior to that, the year when Tom Brady left New England and was looking for a place to go, he was looking at the Saints. And when Mickey Loomis was set up on his ass, he was waiting for Drew Brees to make a decision on when he was going to come back. And that's the problem with Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis don't have no vision, and and the reason why he don't have no vision, he don't have no accountability, because nobody putting any heat on him to do the right thing. He basically stumbles and floats around and does whatever he wants without fear of retribution from Gail Benson, too busy buying curtains and shit, whatever she doing. But the bottom line is, they had an opportunity to kind of fix this thing. And Tom Brady was wanting to come to New Orleans. He wanted to play for the Saints. And the Saints elected to go with Drew Brees. Tom Brady waited and then ultimately signed with Tampa Bay and proceeded to beat the Saints and then lead them to a championship in Tampa. And then after winning the championship, he helped them build those NFC South crowns in which Baker Mayfield came. And now you got 4 years straight of Tampa Bay running the South, while Mickey Loomis sit up there shrugging his shoulders. So like I'm saying, you don't have to be a genius, but it takes an imagination to know. Sooner or later, this goddamn guy, he couldn't even throw the ball. Matter of fact, when he retired, it's because it's a well-known fact now that Drew Brees told people he couldn't even use his right arm to throw. He had to learn how to throw with his left because he was his shoulder, his arm was so overused. Had the Saints didn't know that just didn't happen at the end of his career. Drew was dealing that 2 to 3 years before he retired, when he kept getting hurt after year, hurt. Remember that? that was time to step on and move into a different direction. Draft the quarterback. When you got a guy sit up on your team for all those years, you're supposed to be able to have a guy and drafting him and letting him play behind the guy. And ultimately, when the time comes, he hands the reins over. Like we seen with the Packers. Always talk about the Packers. Like when they had Favre and then they drafted Rodgers and then Favre left, Rodgers took over after 3 years and then they drafted Jordan Love and then Jordan Love took over after Rodgers left. That kind of stuff. That's how I would ideally like it to be. If you have a veteran guy like Drew Brees there, you draft the guy, let him play, then at to a point, you move on. If you draft Lamar Jackson, you wouldn't have seen the back end of Drew Brees' years. Lamar Jackson would have took it and went with it. It would have changed life as a Who Dat because Sean Payton would have never left if his quarterback was Lamar Jackson. Let's keep it real. He would have never left that. But anyway, but this is what the writer actually makes mentions of the Packers situation. I always use the Packers situation. He says it right here. He says, it's not impossible to lay out a clear succession plan. We still leaning on the cornerstone QB. The Packers have done it twice. They drafted Rodgers in 2005 and got 3 years out of Brett Favre, then selected Jordan Love in the first round of 2020 and got 3 more years out of Rodgers, including 2 MVP campaigns, 2020 and 2021. Neither Rodgers nor Love got meaningful play time until their 4th year as a professional. That allowed them to build and get comfortable with the system, the stability of how things operated. The system was right, and they were able to kind of walk right into that thing as opposed to being thrown out there. You get what I'm saying? The Kansas City Chiefs took a big swing in 2017 NFL draft by snagging Mahomes with the 10th overall pick, even though Alex Smith was firmly entrenched as the KC starter. Smith led the Chiefs to the 2017 AFC West Division title before he was traded in January of 2018. And in case of reminders necessary, Mahomes has since won 3 Super Bowls and earned 2 NFL MVP nods. Most obviously aren't privy to the intricacies of New Orleans' decision-making process, but the results show that Saints never made a concerted effort to pick an adequate successor to Drew Brees. They had several of them that they could have went to. Look what he lays out here in this article. Quarterbacks drafted by the Saints since 2006. Sean Canfield, 2010. Y'all remember that? Y'all put one in the chat if y'all remember any of these names. These are some of the guys the Saints picked up, right? Sean Canfield, back in 2010, 7th round pick, 239. Games played, nothing. Garrett Grayson, 2015. He was a 3rd round pick, 75th overall, no games. Tommy Stevenson, 2020, 7th round pick, 7th round pick, 240, no games. He was drafted out of Mississippi State as a quarterback, converted to a tight end in training camp, and was waived in 2020. Ian Book, 2021, 4th round pick, 133, 1 start, and he got it handed to him against the Dolphins, right? Jake Haener, 2023, 4th round pick, 127, 8, 1 start. Spencer Rattler, 2024, it gets better. 5th pick, 150 pick, 7 games played, 6 starts. Tyler is the new guy on the block. Saints drafted 3 quarterbacks while Drew was in New Orleans. None earlier than the 3rd round. They boasted a combined 0 NFL appearances. In fact, Canfield was the only one of those to last more than a year with the franchise. The majority of the time that was spent bouncing between practice squad and the waiver wire. It's not like the Saints lacked opportunity, especially in the twilight of Brees' career. From 2018 to 21, the Saints' earliest slotted pick was number 24th in 2020. They did not have a 1st round pick in 2019. New Orleans routinely drafted late in the 1st round, which tends to be the sweet spot for high upside quarterbacks who needed a couple years. Notably, there were plenty of buzz between the Saints, who had the 27th overall pick in 2018's draft, Louisville quarterback Lamar Jackson, then a borderline 1st round prospect who faced unfair questions about his abilities in the league, which what they do. You watch Lamar Jackson at Louisville. There was nothing to talk about. He ran, he was accurate, he was productive. The offense he was ran was a pro-style offense. There was no questions. They were talking about trying to get the man to play wide receiver and all this kind of stuff. Lamar Jackson had to literally go out and say, I'm playing quarterback in the NFL. That they was trying to change him to something else. He stood up 10 toes down and said, I'm a quarterback. Look where he at today. But let me finish up on that. Borderline first-round prospect who faced unfair questions about his ability in the league. Instead of sitting for Jackson, Saints traded the 2018 first-round pick, a 2018 fifth-round pick, and its 2019 first-round pick to move up to 14 and draft UTSA edge rusher Marcus Davenport. Let me tell you again. They traded the 2018 first-round pick, a fifth-round pick of this, so a first and a fifth, and the first-round pick for the next year to get the 14th spot to go up to get Marcus Davenport. Did y'all remember that draft capital? The Saints gave up 2 first-round picks and a fifth to go and get Davenport. Boy, I tell you, man, you want to talk about stupid. Boy. But anyway, the injury plagued Davenport registered 21.5 sacks, 9 of which came in 21. With 5 years with the Saints, he's since played a combined 6 games for the Vikings and Lions. The Baltimore Ravens drafted Jackson with the 32nd pick. He won 2 MVPs, 3-time first-team All-Pro, and a 4-time Pro Bowler. Good God. So, and also talk, and that's all I want to talk about, because the guy did a wonderful job of even talk about the free agent quarterbacks that the Saints signed that did not work out. Trevor Siemian, Andy Dalton, he goes into it. He goes into the Derek Carr thing. I really don't want to even go there and even tell you. He does a real wonderful job of breaking it down. So if you want to finish reading the article, because it just starts punching on you as a who that when you do it. But the guy did a fantastic job for the diehards and the black and gold family members out there that want to read Will Backus's article. He did a good job of going back and finding the research to the free agents, quarterbacks, giving you their records, and even takes a peer into Tyler Shuck and the thought process if Shuck don't work out, or why, this type of thing, what net 2026 draft class look like with Klubnik and Nussmeier and Drew Allard and all these other quarterbacks, which they say in 2026, potentially Arch Manning, all this kind of stuff for next year is going to be a really beautiful QB back draft. Guy did a real good job on this article. I just don't want to finish reading all of it because it kind of pisses me off to get when we get down to the back. Yeah, Chase Daniels. There you go. They picked a lot. Darwin spent a lot of money on Chase Daniels. It made him the highest paid backup in the NFL. And I don't think he ever played a game for the Saints. So it's really interesting, the thought process on it. But he leads it from that point up until the picking of Tyler Shuck, and even talked about Tyler in terms of where people seen Tyler in the draft and other guys that they seen have higher upside. As it's showing potentially, a lot of the writers is from Cleveland are saying that it appears that Shedeur has the lead there. And regardless or not, if you believe it or not, there will be comparisons, just like there were comparisons with Lamar Jackson and Marcus Davenport. Now, see, I forgot that. That's why I was reading. I was like, man, I forgot. I knew the Saints moved up. I forgot that. I know they surrendered the first round of 2018. I forgot that they surrendered the 2019 first round pick. 2 first rounders, 2018, 2019, and a 5th round pick from 2018 to go up there and get that boy at 14, Davenport. You want to talk about some stupidness. But at the end of the day, listen, we're going to see what happened with Tyler. I do appreciate the fact that the Saints have a young quarterback room. Listen, veteran or not, I understand having a veteran there to stable the room. But in the end, the Saints are going to go with either one of these guys, either Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler is going to be those guys. Spencer Rattler going to give him a run for his money. We're going to see how it all ends, right? And by the way, let's hear from him, man. Let's hear from Tyler. He is at training camp. Y'all put one in the chat if y'all can hear. I'm gonna play both of them. Here we go.
So far, 3 days behind you?
Good. It's been really good. Just getting to know everybody, getting chemistry with the guys. I think it's been the biggest thing is you got new faces. Obviously, you're building the new installs every single day. So been feeling really good about that. Starting to just kind of connect with the guys even more.
And you're rotating in and out with Spencer right now, with the ones, Haener before. But how has that been, trying to get acclimated to different groups of guys? It's
been good. I mean, it's part of it. You got to go in there and operate. You got a taste of that in minicamp. You got brand new faces. The expectations, you got to go out there and perform, and I love it. And I think you just see the level of play here with Olave and Sheed and the kind of veteranness that we have at O-line. It's really, really cool to come in and operate. I feel a lot more prepared, being kind of an older rookie coming in, not being as nervous to develop those relationships, but knowing that's my whole job is to continue to earn my role and do everything I can.
Coach talked about you picking up on the language pretty quickly, like a 10-word play count or whatever it is. Like, how are you with the language of the offense so far?
It's been good. Yeah, I think that helped me out at Louisville this past year, having that huddle mechanics the whole time, coming in through the headset, just basically getting your feet wet there, and then now you can kind of come into this hitting the ground running. And obviously, I'm not going to be perfect. There's going to be we're learning every day, and I think that's my whole goal is to make sure I know my job and I can go get the ball out to those guys and make plays.
Do you feel any like pressure at all? Being the highest drafted QB that the franchise has had since Archie Manning.
No, I think like I said before, my whole thing is these guys are so talented and we got everything that it takes from the coaching standpoint who's done it at all levels. I just got to do my job and do everything that they brought me here to do and just be myself.
Can you talk to us about that pump fake throw to Shaheed?
Yeah.
Like about a 50-yard game.
Yeah. We just had a little double move on. We're building through the installs, so naturally, shorter base plays are in the beginning. We'll start kind of getting into more exotic ones. But, yeah, it's been good to develop that chemistry with the guys like Sheed. And you saw him go out there and go make the play, so he's got some big playability.
So, Tyler, what's that quarterback room like that you guys are actually in there together now?
It's been really good. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We're all around the same age, speak the same language. We've obviously Spencer and I are from the same area, Jake from California. We've all been around each other, so I think that's been the fun part is just learning this offense together, bouncing ideas off of each other and competing.
How old? First conversations with just like Spencer, when you got here, just kind of as he got you into this program and kind of things. What kind of some of the advice or things that he was talking about?
We're just bouncing ideas off of each other and more. It's kind of really like a reunion, but still kind of catching up. Still, it's a new offense. We knew each other a little bit previously, so it's all been really friendly and having fun. We're out there competing in every little thing, indie, net drills, footwork, all that stuff. That's the fun part about this job, man. We're going out there, we're trying to get better. I'm a year older, but he's been a year longer, so the league a year longer, and we're trying to just keep going and keep growing and keep building.
Does that kind of help when it's not, I guess right now, because we're not really in the thick of it, it's not a competition, at least it is like, hey, let's figure this kind of thing out first before we really get into the meat of like this thing.
Oh no, I'm competing every day. Okay. No, we're competing every day. I think that's part of it. It's part of this job. That's why I love this game so much, is you got to come out there and compete and get better and yeah.
What's been the biggest, you talked about it a little bit there, but adjusting to, NFL system, Kellen's system, these first couple of weeks, what's been the biggest adjustment for you from that perspective?
Just new verbiage. I think, obviously, I've been in 5 or 6 offenses before, so it's unlearning those. And, a lot of the same plays are ran or different ways to get to it. So when you're in and out of the huddle, you have to be very, very fast. So just unlearning the previous language and learning that. And so far it's been good, and just trying to find that perfection that way.
Tyler, how long back do you go with Spencer? What was the age, yourself when you both found out about one another?
It was more from afar because he grew up in North Phoenix and I was in Chandler. But I think, Little League playing football, we were kind of around each other. We didn't really get to play each other in high school, but we were always kind of in the QB circuit together.
What's kind of the if you were to put like a hallmark of this Kellen Moore offense as you're learning it right now? What is it for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say there's going to be answers for almost everything that you're going to see. Whether they're finding different ways that scheme up runs or get into different passes or take loads off of certain people, the quarterback, the O-line. I think he does a really good job of complementing each position and allowing everybody to go out there and play fast while still giving you a toolbox. And I think where I've had the most success in my career is having that toolbox, but ultimately letting your talent go shine.
And does it help you that this is new for everybody? So it's new for you, but it's also new for the offensive line. You're all learning it together.
Yeah, I think it makes it fun. As just far as it's a collective experience. We're going out there, we're walking through every single day. I'm getting guys together and we're trying to learn it. We're trying to build that chemistry, build that trust, and that's the best part. Is we're going like this. I think we're climbing together, and we still got a long way to go.
And do you, like, on a personal level, go back and watch any of what he's done with Dak and
Yeah, that's the brunt of what I'm watching right now is all those installs that we're going through, watching guys like Justin and Dak. I mean, it's super fun to watch, and I think you definitely pull a lot from that film and what they were able to do, and even just a year. You know, I think Justin, whenever he first started, he was my age, and what he was able to do, and obviously how much I looked up to him in that offense, and so it was really cool to watch that, and then kind of how it's transcended with Jalen and bits and pieces from that. So I'm really excited to kind of keep going.
That's Tyler Shaw. Chuck, what's really interesting about this man is the fact that, I like how he handles himself. I like how he answers the questions. It's not, he had have opportunity to develop an NFL double talk, right? Straight shooter, like how he talks. Now, in terms of watching him out there, he throws a very pretty deep ball, very tight spiral. Big quarterback, sees the field. And like I said, we have a guy, 6'4", what is he, 6'5", something like that? 6'4", 6'5", stands tall in the pocket, sees the field, can deliver the ball, can make the throws. Accuracy seems to be okay, has some athletic abilities and stuff like that. When you have a young quarterback, we all know this in the Who Dat Nation, is that you're going to need a good running game to kind of stick to the help. Tyler, we'll play with Spencer in a moment. But let me kind of show you all this. This is what we go to the head coach room, because this is what I'm talking about when we start talking about when you make mention of a guy like a Tyler. You have to then look at these guys, right? Kellen Moore and his guys. You see Dougie Nussmeier, we kind of make it big for the family. What's up, brother Byron? Shout out to you. What's up, Chantel? The King Eternal. What's up, T-Mama, baby? How you doing, Queen? Good to see you out there. Hope everything good with you out there. Handling your business. Much love. This is who they picked up, right? We know to get reacquainted with them, and it's good to know our players. But once again, to kind of go over our offensive guys, right? Kellen Moore is the head coach. We know that. Offensive coaches, because this is going to be very important. Dougie Nussmeier, we know he's the guy on top of the offensive coordinator. They brought back Joel Thomas. Y'all remember Joel Thomas with the Saints 2 years ago before he took the Giants job. Love him as a running backs coach, always smart, hard work. The run game coordinator, TJ Pagnetti. This guy, Kellen Moore, brung over from the Philadelphia Eagles. This guy here is going to be really important to what the Saints got going on with that running attack. Young quarterback, they're going to have to run the football. Saints offensive line is going to have to get it together. Brendan Nugent is back. Remember, Nugent was one of the guys that was with the Saints early on during our glory days when the offensive line was a power point for the Saints to be able to run the football, protect the quarterback, have a competent and thorough, consistent offense. He's back. Having Brendan Nugent and TJ Pagnetti, amongst others, will be just phenomenal for the Saints. You have to get that offensive line together. You have to be able to do that. Of course, you see some of these other guys right here as well. Coach Keith Williams is another favorite. A lot of people like him. Scott Tolzens is the QB coach that works with Doug Nussmeier as well. And of course, tight ends coach Chase Haslett is a new guy to the party. We remember having an old tight end coach. We'll see what he got going on with the tight ends. But really, Brendan Nugent and Pagnetti, those are two guys right there, family, that will be big for the Saints in terms of that running attack. These guys. And the idea is to build a very mean offense in terms of running the ball. Young quarterback means Saints going to run the football. You're making a commitment to a quarterback, whether it's Tyler Shuck or whether it's Spencer Rattler, it's going to be a commitment to running the football with either one of these men. You got to. Jawan Johnson has to have a big year. He has to step up and be operate as a safety blanket. I do think the Saints add more veterans down the line to help out, like we look at the unofficial depth chart. But it'll be fun watching them do it. Let's move on here and hear what Spencer Rattler has to say. He had a pretty good practice. Let's see what he got to say.
Too much as a rookie? Is that what that comes down to?
No, I don't think so. I think last year was not a normal situation, as you guys know, walking into. But learned that I can get through adversity. I could play at this level, and felt good about it. Want to improve and build on that.
I know it's still early in this offseason program, but does it feel good to have that, like, everyone's on the same playing field because it is a new coaching staff? It's a new opportunity for everybody. Does that help you, I guess, just mentally having that clean slate like everybody else has?
Yeah, I mean, it's good having a blank slate, coming out here, communicating with the guys, playing free. But I think the mindset stays the same no matter what situation you're in. Just attack each day, try to be the best guy out there, and just lead your guys.
Does the comfort, is it a little bit more comfort just because you've done this, like the whole process for you?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Much more comfortable this year than last year, coming in. Credit to our coaches. They've been coaching us really well, and guys are on top of their stuff. We're gelling pretty well right now, and it's feeling good.
Kellen's been pretty consistent about the idea of doing, making this offense cater to the talent. How do you feel like that is going for you in this new system?
Feel great. I think we play fast, play with tempo, RPOs. QB's going to be able to use his legs like you've seen what he's done with QBs in the past. I don't want to give away too much, but it's been great, man. I think the receivers, the tight ends, the running backs, everybody's gelling well with this offense, and O-line as well. I mean, like I said, it feels smooth, feels good out there right now. Obviously, got to install more, but we're pretty deep into the playbook, and it feels good.
But the things that you said you were working on over the course of the offseason, how do you feel like that aligns with those elements of a Kellen Moore offense?
Yeah, I think just overall, just body twitchness, body quickness, mental quickness. I think that all, kind of ties into what we're doing now, with Kellen and his offense. I think no matter what offense you're in, you want to work on areas you want to improve. But overall, I feel good right now. Want to keep improving.
Did you watch Brandon Cooks from afar, kind of growing up, and then what's it like to have him on this roster?
Oh, yeah. I remember when I was young and he was at Oregon State, and obviously knew he started his career out here, and, we've been able to, create a pretty good relationship. He's one of our best vets, super experienced in this league, and obviously adds a lot of talent, on the offense.
Spencer, obviously it was circumstance and it doesn't guarantee anything, but how special or important was it for you to spend that portion of phase 1, phase 2, breaking down the huddle at the end of every practice, kind of being, the QB1 for the guys that were here?
Yeah, no, felt good, nothing's promised, so you want to work every day. You want to lead your guys, being the quarterback. Got to have confidence out there, got to have a little swag, and just, get your teammates to believe in you.
I was going to say that one thing with Brandon Cooks. Does that excite you when you're thinking, all right, I have a healthy Chris Olave, I've got a healthy Rashid Shaheed, and I could add Brandon Cooks. Is that exciting to think of the potential weapons you have for this offense?
Oh, man, like Chris just told me, it's like, yep, got all of us out there now. So looks a little different, feels a little different, and those guys look great, man.
With the NFL allowing players to be in the Olympics, which one of your teammates is somebody that would be a good candidate for some flag football?
I mean, you can't miss on Olave and Shaheed. Those guys, I don't know what country's going to guard those guys. But those guys are good. And shoot, why not me? I want to go out there too.
When you're a professional, no matter the talk outside the building, whether the expectations are low or high, how do you go to work and do your job?
Say it one more time, sorry.
The talk outside the building, whether the expectations for the team are high or low, how do you avoid maybe dipping into that and just go to work and do your job every day?
Yeah, it's just part of the beast, It's always going to be talking points, always going to be, expectations, high, low, whatever they may be. Just control what you can. I know I've said that plenty of times, but it's true. Control what you can, continue to improve and what you need to get better at, and just keep working with your team.
How much has your confidence changed from last year to right now?
I mean, I feel like I've always been pretty confident. Even if it's up and down, you've got to maintain that confidence. But I guess you could say I'm a little more comfortable now, going into year 2. Obviously nowhere near where I want to be, but feel good right now.
Is that overthinking?
All right, that's Spencer Rattler, family. And, I was listening to Spencer's interview he did the other day, and they asked about the differences between the offense from what he had last year and this year. And he gave a really good comment. He said it's less wordy. And he didn't say that this interview, but last time we talked about it, he says less wordy, and he liked less wordy, and he likes it. Less talking, all this kind of stuff. And of course, with Kellen Moore being a former quarterback, you got Nussmeier there, Scott Tolzien. All those guys are former quarterbacks. So they have a good idea of how to craft an offense that's capable or in the best idea, kind of streamline a quarterback to kind of have the understanding from the working side of it, not just, I don't know if Pete Carmichael was ever a player or if Clint Kubiak did he ever play quarterback. I don't even know if the guy did it, maybe just repping off his dad. I don't know. But you got guys that played the quarterback's position and have an idea of how you want to feed the offense to your quarterback. So the way I see it is, Spencer Rattler, to me, the way his body language, how he's talking, he ready to go. And just, I mean, if you're a Spencer guy and you're saying, hey man, Q, I'm looking at Spencer, does he have a serious opportunity to start? Even though we know they want Tyler to be the guy, obviously because of his draft status, his age, and his connection to the current administration. But Spencer ain't gonna make it easy. So I think you'll see a good competition between the two, and the winner is us. It'll be iron sharpening iron right here. I do like Tyler's size and all this kind of stuff. It's his height and his athletic ability. But Spencer Rattler, we really been putting in the work this offseason, and he feel confident about it. It's going to be very interesting to watch these guys compete in this upcoming season. We'll see. It's going to be pretty cool. All right. Big ups to you guys, man, being in the stream, man. Any questions, throw them in the chat. King Eternal says, we don't rock with him. The coaches are going to say good things about him, but we know he laid an egg last year. Yeah, but see, a lot of times you got that memory, bro. But the new administration come in, they're going to see him as a blank slate, so to speak, right? But the oblique injury, doesn't help him. You'll see him, around mini camp whenever that happens. But the OTAs, that gives Deckers an opportunity to get more quarterback reps to catch Haener. But Haener, in his, third year, you have to think that you're going to get the best Haener, right? But as Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler arrived, Haener got pushed to the back. And then how he looked so bad in that game, and then it really looked bad because Spencer came in the second half and it was a total different team. Haener had zero pocket command. He was just like, you might as well put Casper the Ghost back there, somebody. The guy had no pocket command. The team was dead. There was no rhythm. It was just no leadership. It was just bad. It was awful. That first half was terrible. And then Spencer gets in there, and then it's almost like it was the same personnel group. It's almost like they all stuck, they all charged them with electricity. And it was like, that guy got in there and if he started the game, they would have won that game. Even if that Saints would have got a field goal or something, I think they would have won the game. But it was so obvious how the differences between them, because they tried to play games during that preseason where Dennis Allen understood the popularity that Spencer Rattler had. He did not want him to pose as a security threat or a safety threat to then Derek Carr. That's why when Carr was healthy, they moved Spencer to third string quarterback. Spencer and his people had to be upset by that. I was upset by it. I was like, man, what is this guy doing? And I told you what that rat-faced possum was going to do. He was going to be, that guy was totally off. I can't believe a guy like that. They let a guy like that be a head coach in the NFL. A guy like that, acting like that, thinking like that. That was just ridiculous to me. But the end result was Spencer Rattler, if it's a fair commitment, Kellen Moore don't have that same energy. He actually has a brain and a personality. He seemed like a man that wants to win and wants to do it the right way. But in the end, you want to see a fair competition. And if Spencer Rattler is better than Tyler just have to sit down, until he gets better. So I'm looking forward to that battle. It's going to be interesting to see. All right. Chantel says that She's saying that Shador is going to start. Wouldn't be surprised by that at all. About Shador, it was a humbling ritual that they did with that kid, man, that they did to him, and then circle back and pick him up, and then he gonna beat all them other guys for the job. What a piece of garbage these people are. What a piece of garbage. All right. And she asks, yeah, Haener, they still have Haener. Haener has an oblique issue. He'll be out, they saying, for a couple of weeks. We'll see how that goes. All right, what's up? What's up, Jack? Jack says Haener got he got unmasked last year. It looked bad, man. The way it looked bad because you expect him to. Usually in the sophomore year, there is something called a sophomore slump that players do go through. But perhaps Haener might surprise you coming into his third year. He's been doing some off-season work as well. How does he look? Is he much improved in his third year? You have to think at some point, does he make a jump? Does he look better? But he had, to me, when I watched Haener in there, and he had no pocket command there. And Spencer Rattler came in there and electrified these guys. And Rattler took a step. When I say I was like, he done took a step past him. The thing too is Spencer Rattler does a good job of scrambling. And last year the Saints line wasn't that good. They had a bunch of guys, backup guys in there. They couldn't block to say they like. But he was on the move running, making throws on the run. They had to scramble them, roll them out to make plays because the offensive line was so rickety. They couldn't protect the man. They couldn't run the ball, so they had to use him. So it was just a very tiresome process for Spencer Rattler. But outside of that, you want to see what he got in the second year. There's also, like I said, it's a sophomore slump. He could be facing that. Most, not everybody, but some players, most players do suffer what they call a sophomore slump. Does it impact Spencer Rattler's game in the second year? Well, we'll have to see how it all goes. We shall see. What's up, Muse? Shout out to Muse. Good to see you in the chat. Much love to Muse. All right. Stacy, what's up, brother? Says all QBs need to go to the Senior Bowl. Nah, shout out to you, bro. Reginald, what's up, brother? Good to see you in the chat as well. Brother John, I see you, fam. Appreciate you as well. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, man, but that's pretty interesting. Like I said, let me kind of go back to this depth chart and then we'll end the stream. This is the unofficial depth chart, family, that we have here that you see. In terms of the offense, we're kind of paying attention to the offense today. In terms of what we see, you see Tyler, you see Spencer, Jake has the issue, and Hunter Deckers is the fourth quarterback. And the emphasis today was on the Saints offensive line, as you can see. A reshuffling of the line going into the season. Kelvin Banks Jr. is the blindside tackle. Trevor Penning is going to move to left guard and compete with Dylan Reynolds and Nick Saldiveri for the guard position. So it's going to be interesting to see. They want to see Trevor Penning win the guard battle. We'll see if Dylan Reynolds, who's on a one-year prove-it deal, got a lot of experience playing the guard position. Could Trevor Penning beat him out for it? That's going to be interesting. Of course, McCoy at center, Cesar Reeves is the right guard, and Tylee moves over to the right side, a position he played very well in college. So it goes back to where he comes from, so to speak. So Kelvin Banks, Tylee Fuaga, very interesting. And we got a battle on offensive line. Now, that's the positive. The kind of the negative is that the Saints are incredibly young and inexperienced when it comes down to the backups in the offensive line. Right? Now, based on what happens with Penning or Dylan Reynolds, whoever loses the position, you'll get one of those guys as an experienced guy. Will Clapp's been here before. So, we've seen Will Clapp. He can play the backups in the position smart. I guess that's cool. But outside of that, Nick Saldiveri is a guy we don't know what he could be because he can't stay healthy. Kyle Hergel is untested. Josiah Israhim was a guy, 7th-round pick a couple of years ago. We don't know what he could be, even though he showed some potential. We don't know what he is. Easton Kilty's undrafted. So is Torricelli Simpkins III. These are interesting prospects, practice squad guys who can possibly maybe get a position right there. They have some talent. And then Landon Young, this guy the Saints brought back who played guard and tackle for the Saints, but hadn't been able to be consistent in the final year. I don't understand why he's back. But outside of that, you look at these guys, the Saints are very inexperienced outside of having, if it'll be Penning or Dylan Reynolds as backups, and Will Clapp. Still would rather kind of see the Saints bring in a couple of veteran offensive linemen. I could see that happening as we get closer to the camp that matters. We'll start seeing a few veterans here and a couple of these undrafteds in the street, getting up to that 90-man mark. But yeah, we definitely need to invest in some veteran backup offensive linemen. It's still kind of shaky in my opinion. And of course, people talk about the wide receiver position for the New Orleans Saints. Having Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Cooks. People are expecting Bub Means, guys like that to have a step up. Bub Means, Kevin Austin Jr., Donovan People-Jones is another guy. A lot of people see value in 6'2". I like him a lot out of all of the guys that they brought in terms of that. The guy that played and did it well, a veteran in the game. But still, a guy, if Keenan Allen's available, connection with Kellen Moore from the Charger days, if he's there, the Saints have the money, he could fit with what the team got going on. I would definitely respect and like that. A couple of veteran offensive linemen added for the backup position there would be bad as well. And of course, if you then scroll down to the Saints defense, you talk about the Saints talking to Ashanti Samuel Jr. to a possible, if him when the time is right, signing with the team. Saints talk to him. It might be something they could be looking to do, right? It could be a situation where the Saints could reach to him and do, because if you had Kool-Aid McKinstry, Ashanti Samuel Jr., then Alante Taylor at the nickelback position. It strengthens your secondary. It kind of brings that mean, nasty edge that you're looking for. I love the way he plays. He's an undersized guy, a little small guy, but he's scrappy as hell. So we'll see how it all looks, or they can kick him into nickel. We'll see how it all goes. But in the end, the bottom line is the Saints offensively could still use a little bit of help right there, and we'll see what they can do. All right, so anyway, with that being said, fam, listen, I appreciate y'all for being in the show tonight. Much love to y'all. Appreciate y'all. All right, Knoxville says, still can't believe we fumbled that one wide out from Wake Forest. I thought for sure he's going to be a solid piece. Yeah, he says, Stacy says, shouldn't have let Emory. Yeah. Oh, well, hey, bro. What can I tell you? The Saints don't like picking LSU players. I mean, they had a bunch of LSU players. They had a bunch of offensive linemen that will here that got it. Well, LSU had like 7 something odd players drafted, 5, 6 or 7 players drafted. A bunch of them signed as undrafted guys. They don't seem to connect with LSU for whatever reason. They're right up, literally up the interstate from the team. Send a scout out there, scout these guys, and make a pipeline because there's so much good talent there. The Saints just don't, for whatever reason, when it was Peyton, when it was this other guy before, we just don't seem to look at the LSU guys and see them anywhere of any value, but they didn't come back down here and help kick your teeth in. So, I mean, I can't explain that. All right, what's up, Colorado? Shout out to you, man. All right, Chantel says, Q, stay safe out there. Thank you, Chantel. Appreciate you. You too. Appreciate you. All right, Cartel says, Q, where was Quincy Riley on the depth chart? He was positioned as a backup behind Hugo Amadi. That's a nickelback. So if you don't have a Ashanti Samuel Jr. addition, if he's brought in, that obviously slides guys down, right? So he was positioned, and of course you still have Isaac Yiadom here. Saints gave Yiadom, $9 million for 3 years to be here? So what position is Isaac Yiadom here? So, but they have the unofficial depth charts has Ugo Amadi as the nickel and Quincy Riley, the rookie from Louisville, behind him on the depth chart. All right. All right. What's up? T Dirty. Shout out to my dog T Dirty, man. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, Kenya Turner says right hand back because you're not lying. I'm keeping it real, bro. The history of the Saints, they don't even look in that direction. They've been getting really good players coming out of the pros from Tulane and LSU. The Saints don't go in the draft and get none of these guys. I can't explain it. I don't get it. I know Sean Payton had this weird Ohio State pipeline where he used to go up there and won't draft everybody out of it. I get it. It works for me. But you don't ignore all of the talent that's coming from LSU. They had a ton of talent. There's always really good offensive linemen. There's always really good running backs you can reach to, wide receivers off the chain. They got really good defensive backs that come out of there. You can get really good defensive line. Anybody linebackers, you can get all kind of stuff. They just don't look at those. I can't explain it. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. Maybe Kellen Moore changes it. I don't know. But then again, don't they like to draft Georgia players all the time? I don't know. It's very weird to me. I don't get it. All right. All right. Big ups, man. Appreciate y'all. All right. Yeah, I don't get it, bro. I really don't. All right. Who else we got? Knox says crazy. We're gonna draft Ted McMillan. He was gonna draft Ted if he was out there, but the Panthers still out the guy again. We don't go ahead and get a tall receiver later. I don't understand the fact that the Saints have it's like Mickey Loomis with the veteran quarterback thing. And Mickey Loomis is out. He don't know what he's talking about. Why you put a mic in his face? Just go talk to Kellen Moore. You get more information. You don't know what he's talking about. But the wide receiver, like everybody and their mama know. But why you need a bigger wide receiver? So you're trying to pretend like Chris Olave's a one. No disrespect to Chris Olave. No disrespect. He looks better with a big wide receiver next to him. A guy that's 6'3", 6'4", big body wide receiver that go up and get the ball. Chris is a compliment guy to a big. No disrespect, Chris Olave is a really good wide receiver. He really is. And he can, if healthy, the guy can catch you 70 balls in a year, maybe more. Give you multiple touchdowns, 7, 8 touchdowns, if healthy. But the thing is, he looks better when you have a big wide receiver. You're not having a conniption fit in the middle of a cornfield somewhere with this thought process. It's literally what the Saints was attempting to do when they brought Cedric Wilson Jr. here. When they had Mike Thomas and they tried to pair him with Brandon Cooks that first time around. Big wide receiver, smaller wide receiver, but a speedster. That's football. They have a speedy slot man, Rashid Shaheed in the slot. Saints kind of got away from that last year, trying to take both those guys, turn them to 1 and 2s. They did a poor job of trying to locate a big body receiver. Don't forget they gave Cedric Wilson Jr. 2-year contract. He was supposed to be, when Mike Thomas when he left, they brought in Cedric Wilson Jr. and was trying to put him in that role. Don't forget that. But then all of a sudden, now you want Chris, you want Rashid, and you want Brandon Cooks in there for whatever reason. No, we good with that. No, the process doesn't change. These guys are all fast, but you're still not getting away from the fact that you need a big physical wide receiver to do this in here. You still need it. So is Donovan Peoples-Jones the guy? Is it Bub Means? Is it what's the other kid? Kevin Austin Jr.? Is it a potential veteran? You still need a big wide receiver. That it gives your room depth. It gives it options, so to speak. So it's just a question that we ask. And of course, the more pressing concern, I would say number one concern is the offensive line. Even though they're shuffling the line right now, we still need depth. I'm still not comfortable with what the Saints have as backups right now. We need more veteran depth, more reliable linemen to back up the guys that we have. That's just what I see. Once the Saints address that, we go into that, we'll be able to get to running the ball, because you're going to have to run that football to win some games. You got a very agreeable schedule. Some of these teams, a lot of these teams, bad teams, just like the Saints was. Saints got to play defense, run the football, keep the turnovers down. That's how you win games. If the Saints can do that, Jawan Johnson step up, they handle their business, we're gonna see we see some wins. It's not all based on the rookie or the inexperienced quarterback. Saints have to have a running attack. They got to have a safety blanket with the tight end position. They have to relatively be able to, because injuries are going to happen. The Saints have to be positioned where they can absorb the injuries and still maintain our identity to run the football and handle the business. So if injuries start mounting up, you got to go to trades. You got to go to the practice squads. You got to go to the free agency and pick up guys and keep the identity of running the football there. TJ Pagnetti, Nugent, those guys coming in here, to use a bludgeon style running attack. Elvin Kamara, Kendre Miller, Devin Neal. I'm not ready to put Neal over Kendre Miller yet. I'm not ready, because we need to see what Kendre Miller can do. He's isn't he a third round pick or a second round? I think he was a third round pick for T. Wasn't he a third round pick? I forget. Let me pull his card up, bro. Wasn't he a third round? Yeah, he was a third round pick from TCU. Guy in his third year, we still need to see what he can do. Devin Neal is there, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They got some running backs there. We're going to have to rely on these guys to help us win some games, bottom line. All right. Anyway, with that being said, let me get ready to dip on the body here. Jack says Penning has 3 left feet at times. All right. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Don says Keenan Allen and Gabe Davis. Yes. People saying Keenan Allen, obviously because his connection when Kellen Moore was in LA playing, coaching for the Chargers as an offensive coordinator under Staley, when he was out there, that was the connection. So he's free. Why would he not want to join Kellen Moore in New Orleans and you have a spot? That's an instant spot. It also makes your depth, your wide receiver room more experienced with Keenan Allen though. I mean, Keenan Allen and Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed would be knocked down, drag out. Or what you with Brandon Cooks. Well, it gives you more versatility with what you can do with Rashid and Cooks, right? I mean, it really does, because I guess you can experiment you can use Rashid a little bit more at the return positions, right? You could. If you have Brandon Cooks, that's a positive to it. You got a deep wide receiver room. You can experiment with Rashid more at the returner positions if you need to. You got 4 really good wide receivers for your rookie quarterback or Spencer Rattler, young quarterbacks to throw to. It's a positive. Plus, the Saints have 20-something odd million in cap money. So they could afford. It's not a money issue. It's not a roster issue. It's just, do you have the vision to see what you need or whatnot? Or are you really looking at the team? I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it all works. But in terms of the Penning thing, people asking about the Penning thing in the chat. Hey, listen, left tackle didn't work out. We knew that. Right tackle, he looked a lot better. The guard position, you'll battle with Dylan Runnels. It's not he's not gifted with anything yet. He's got to battle Dylan Runnels for that position. We'll see what he got to do. He doesn't have a 5th year, so it's basically similar to Dylan Runnels. Trevor Penning is playing on the final year of his rookie contract. Dylan Runnels has a 1-year prove-it deal. So you're going to see some battling from the guard position. The only problem is that Trevor Penning, even though they have the pencil in there as a potential start at the guard position, that don't mean nothing. They did the same thing with Nick Seldevere. And he got in there, could not stay healthy, lost the position. It became Lucas Patrick's job, who's brought in as a backup to back him up. So it doesn't mean anything. It's just paper right now or words on the screen until the guy actually does it. And like I said, if you put a guard, the guy never played guard before, first time ever. He didn't do it in college. Like he always been a tackle. The next thing you're looking at is he competing with a guy that's been in the league for what Runnels been in the league for like 5 years, 5 or 6 years in Dylan Runnels. And he got 30-something starts, 50 games, 30. Yeah, he been in the game since he been in the league since 21. Okay, since 21. He's the guy's a former second-round pick. Second-round pick back in 2021 out of North Dakota State, pick 53 for Tennessee. 6'6", 300 pounds. Played a lot of guard position. Dylan Runnels is not going to turn that job over. So this guy be like, yeah. He licking his chops saying, really? You going to play a guy against me that never played guard before? And I got, 30-something games as a starter, whatever it is? All right, let's see how that goes. Let's see how this happens. So, like I said, it's going to be fun. My thing is, it's not Nick Seldevere's job. 1-year prove-it deal. Dylan Runnels is hey, man, if I had to put money on it, and it's a fair competition, I put my money on Dylan Runnels. I know they want Penning to catch on. I know they want him to catch on. But to learn a whole new position, now granted, it's some people believe the guard position is easier to play than the tackle position. That might be true, but you still got to learn the nuances of it. And you're going against a man that got all that experience. He's been playing guard since he's been in the league. I'll put my money on Dylan Runnels. So we're going to see how it all go, man. Hopefully he can pick it up. We'll see. All right. Anyway, with that being said, man, let me get ready to cut loose and get on up out of here, man. I appreciate all y'all for chilling with me tonight. I know it's a little late. We'll try to come back tomorrow. If not, it'll be Saturday. My days have been really busy. Pelican post-game report will be tomorrow for my Pelican people. We'll have a set schedule on our Pelican and Saints stuff start next week. Our new schedule roll out. You know, I'll be doing different stuff for the in the off season, changing some stuff up. But listen, y'all do me a service. Hit the like button. What's up, Trey? Shout out to my dog, Trey. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Feel free to share the show on your social media feed. As always, representing the mighty Who Dat Nation, Sports Coma. Standing 10 toes down for the Who Dat Nation. We up in this thing, baby. Listen, y'all have a fantastic rest of y'all. I'm about to say night, but it's morning. It's 12:30 in the morning. In Central Time. Y'all have a fantastic Friday. I'm gonna holler at y'all. I said Friday like it ain't that. Since Pelican post-game report actually tonight. And some more Saints stuff. We'll see about that as well. If not, then it'll be on the weekend. But much love to y'all. I'm gonna holler at y'all on the flip side. Peace, and I'll see you later. Peace.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the pro shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the pro shop and Who Dat too.